talked to the doctor, and so look at that, we're live. Talked to the doctor, and he said, Doctor, give me the news. I got a bad case of government blues.
Plenty of that going around. Plenty of that.
The government blues, baby. The government blues. Good morning, everybody. He's Michael Knight. I'm New York Vinnie, and we are unbelievably on time today. It's an amazing thing. You could knock me down with a feather. But 10:10, we try to be here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning from 10:10. Mikey is down there from beautiful Pasadena.
Vinnie's in Seattle, where the playoffs are underway, and the excitement around the Mariners is more than just interesting. It's more than somewhat.
It's a beautiful thing. I mean, it's listen, this city is starved to go to the World Series. It's something that's never happened here before, and people are excited about it. Everybody, as a matter of fact, you really got to kind of caution people: don't get ahead of yourselves. We still got to get to take the Tigers this afternoon and beat them.
Yeah, and first you can ask the Phillies what it's like to get ahead of yourself.
I don't know if you saw what I wrote last night on social media on Facebook, but I'm not a Phillies fan, and obviously I'm not a Dodgers fan, but I just felt so bad for that kid. I mean, that picture of him standing in the middle with his hands on his knees and the Dodgers running past him is just it's heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking.
Well, you commit two errors. You make two errors on one play, and that's how you break your own heart.
Yeah, it's the whole thing is the story that we always tell. I mean, we've told a story a million times in sports radio of you're a kid and you're in the backyard and you're playing with your friends and it's the bottom of the ninth and it's 2 out and 3-2 and the pitcher throws your pitch and you swing at it and goodbye baseball right over the wall. And it's even if you play the fantasy in your head, it's still something that is always a part of growing up, a part of that thing that gets us so hooked into sports. And we never think of the opposite. We never think of the failure, just the horribleness of, first of all, embarrassing yourself in front of 50,000 people, and make it what should have been an easy play. But listen, sphincters get tight. That's one thing about the playoffs. I mean, people get tightened up.
A bouncer back to the pitcher. He muffs the pickup, then he picks it up and he muffs the throw. Wide right, and that's the end of it. Bases loaded. Dodgers put together a little bingo and a bouncing ball back to the pitcher. He had a play at first. He had a play at third. He had a force everywhere he could look.
Yeah,
and he couldn't get the ball or the throw. Even if he had done the throw, his muffing of the grounder put the runner.
Yeah, he probably had a play to first, but the catcher was obviously pointing over to first base. But in that moment, once he didn't field that ball cleanly, it was trouble from there. It was trouble from there, because now you're almost immediately that thing snaps in your head as I'm going to pick up the ball and what am I going to do with it? Which way am I going to go? I'm looking this way. I'm looking that way. And, where that should be, if you're a player with a little bit more experience, it's an automatic play. You glove down, grab the ball.
If if you can't field your position, you're going to have problems like this all night. And we just have to assume that he's a better player than that. But the baseball gods were not on his side last night. He in fact, he was having trouble getting the ball over the plate. He could not throw strikes. He could not command these pitches. The bases were loaded for a reason.
He had a tight end. I mean, you could see that he tightened up. Maybe you could make a point that he was the wrong guy to put in there, or maybe you can make a point that Rob Thompson, the Phillies manager, should have been able to feel his bullpen a little bit more and know that probably wasn't the right guy for that situation. Just as, we go back and obviously the comparisons to Bill Buckner in '86, when Buckner was put in for a defensive late inning replacement, and John McNamara, who was the manager of the Red Sox at the time, knew that Buckner had bad knees, and it couldn't.
You could see it. He couldn't walk.
Play
first base.
And it could now, but for everybody who'll point that out, there'll be the other guy who'll point out that Kirk Gibson couldn't walk either when he hit the home run against Oakland. So it's the time of year where everybody's hurt, everybody's got a problem, everybody's got injuries, everybody's got things going on, and it's when the job of the manager becomes to know much more about those injuries, how radical they are to that player's career, not career, but playing condition, and how much it's going to affect. I mean, but again, when he got in there and he couldn't get the ball over the plate, that should have been assigned to somebody who was in the game for so long, to the manager, that, hey, this guy is not in the right place at the right time. That's easy for us to say, because if he picks up the ball and he feels it cleanly, we're not saying this morning. Maybe we're talking about a game five in the series. But listen, the Phillies were getting their butts kicked anyway in the previous games. It's one of those no wins for me, because I don't like the Phillies and I don't like the Dodgers. So, I just, I feel bad for a young man who is in one of the absolute horrible fan assemblages in sports. I mean, Philadelphia fans are legendary for how mean, I'm sure that he had 100 voicemails on his phone last night, and 50 of them were death threats.
Well, the Philadelphia fan had a lot to be upset about last night, not just baseball. While the Phillies were losing to the Dodgers, the Eagles were going out of their way to lose to the Giants, or more accurately, the Giants were taking that game to the Phillies with an upset, a one-sided performance, and the Eagles looked distant and removed from the game, and the Giants looked inspired. It's one thing that you can say about the college football season and the pro football season this year so far, Vinnie, is that upsets are the rule. Jacksonville has beaten the 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs in 3 weeks, beaten them both. That's an upset. It's an extraordinary upset. And last night, the Giants taking on the Eagles and winning so one-handedly, a big upset. Now, that has not extended to baseball. The underdog is not winning in the baseball playoffs. The underdog is not performing, not surprising, not upsetting the leader. You'd have to say that the Yankees were not the favorite. They didn't pull it off.
No, they barely made it into the playoffs.
You have to say that the Phillies were expected to do better than they did, but against the Dodgers, they didn't look that good. And the Dodgers pitching, which had been the problem, was holding up. And so the upsets did not extend to baseball, not yet. The Cubs and the Cubs and the Brewers have a game 5, and the Mariners have a game today at 5 o'clock. I think it is.
Yeah, 5:05. George Kirby is getting the call in that one, and versus Scooble, which will be interesting. Scooble went to school here. He went to Seattle University, and so the whole Seattle University baseball team is coming to the game. He's got, he brought him to the games before that were here. And so it'll be kind of strange for them because they'll be rooting for their buddy. But Scrooble even said that he was a Mariners fan when he went to school here. Went to a lot of games at the ballpark and so on and so forth. So, but he'll be, I'm sure he'll be rooting for the Tigers today. I mean, you couldn't find a tougher pitcher to go up against, but I think they're 3-0 against him this year. I think they beat him 3 times, which worries me a little bit too, because if they beat him 3 times, how tough is it to beat a guy like that, a defending Cy Young Award winner 4 times in a year?
He presented to be a dynamic pitcher at the top of his game and in total control of his powers. That's the image that I got in the first game that he pitched. In fact, in all the games that he's pitched since the playoffs began, he's been their ace.
Well, he's got such a combination of pitches, and then he can pull the string on his curveball, or what do they call that now? A sweep. They're coming up with new names for the pitches. Thanks.
Nobody throws the curveball anymore.
All of this stuff.
It looks like a slider. Well, you're an idiot. That was a sweeper.
Yeah. Wait a minute. It was a slider a year ago. Well, now we got to invent new terms. Anyway, his pitch. I mean, I've seen him pitch a couple of times this year, besides the Mariners, watching some games, and he can really take it to you. Now, will he pucker up in the postseason? I don't know. He's got postseason. As you get further into the playoffs, I think you get less of a pucker because it starts to become familiar to you. You think.
You've seen so many pitches from him in so many situations. You're accustomed to his delivery.
And I think that and I have to admit that I was disappointed in Dan Wilson in that game on Wednesday when he pulled the starter. I thought the guy was breezing along, man. He was handling. He wasn't throwing a lot of pitches. Now he obviously is going to know his pitcher much better than I'm going to know. I'm sitting my ass on the couch over there, but I just thought that he probably should have stuck with him a little bit longer. But I guess Wilson didn't expect his bullpen to come apart like it did. I mean, that's one of the best bullpens in baseball, and it just fell apart. For Spire to get touched up like that, who, by the way, is Chris Spire's cousin, I guess. Really? We remember Chris Spire from the Giants,
shortstop of renown.
Shortstop for in the 70s. Was it 70s? Yeah. So, before Johnny LeMaster, right?
I think after
Johnny LeMaster, yeah. Yeah, because between Johnny LeMaster and I'm trying to think of who, not Larry Bowa. I can't. I was thinking of Manny Trio actually, but Manny Trio was second baseman. Anyway, a usually reliable bullpen just fell apart. They couldn't stop the bleeding. And to the Tigers' credit, listen, they hung in there. Now, I don't know how you feel about this, but I was a little disappointed in the Detroit fans. As you're in the 5th inning, the game's not out of reach by any means. What are they behind? 3-0 at that point, or 4-0? I forget. It was 3-0. And the folks in Detroit are like booing them unmercifully. Now I can understand you're disappointed in a performance, but in a game that's not out of reach, why do you start booing your own people? I never I would expect that out of a New York crowd, out of a Philly crowd. I wouldn't expect that out of a Detroit crowd or a Pittsburgh crowd or even a Chicago crowd, as tough as they can be sometimes. I just thought it was kind of a little classless, and I'm a big fan of Detroit. I mean, I like the Tigers. I like Detroit fans. I think they're some of the best fans in sports. I mean, just what they got to brave to go to a game, to go to downtown Detroit, to go to the ballpark at the Joe Louis Arena or Ford Field. I mean, it's better now. It's getting better in Detroit, but it's still considerable danger. So I know
The
you probably feel a little bit different about it. You're probably much more in the I don't know if they're sucking up, boom.
It's been a great year it's a great month for sports right now in Detroit because the Lions are playing so well, and the Tigers were fighting to get into the playoffs. I think that the Detroit baseball fan, the playoff fan, might be a little disappointed now because they considered the Tigers a gimme over the Mariners. The Mariners weren't going to win because the Mariners don't win. The Mariners compete, but they don't advance. This was a series that the Tigers, in the mind of a fan from Detroit, were supposed to take the superior team, the better team, the more powerful team. Not
Well,
the
and
case.
they're not that good fans, or at least they're not educated fans, because the two teams are going two separate ways heading into the postseason.
Yeah. Well, they're in a situation where they don't know the opposition that well, and they think they know their team when they may not have an accurate image of what the Tigers are capable of in this postseason.
Yeah,
But
well,
we're about to find out in 5
and
hours.
yeah, we're gonna find out. Hopefully, the Mariners will win, and hopefully, they'll go on to face the Toronto Blue Jays, and that'll be an interesting matchup
That's
if
no
it
gift.
happens.
That's probably the toughest team to inherit of all the playoffs right now, from what I'm seeing on the field.
Yeah. I mean, they're deep all over the place. They got a true superstar in Guerrero, and they have in Springer and some of those other guys that are around him a true cast of high level supporting players.
But
Springer is one of the
look what happened with Harper and Kyle Schwarber. They contributed. They hit well, but they didn't hit timely enough. They didn't hit often enough. They didn't hit in the right situation to make the difference. And the Phillies have a lot of if only stories to tell about these playoffs because they
yeah
had a good team that did not advance.
yeah, and I think that so far is the biggest. Well, it's funny because I want to say it's a shocker. But I think that, you still have to consider that the Dodgers are the world champions. You still have to consider that how deep the Dodgers are. You still have to consider that, whether we hate them or not, that they're still just a well put together machine. And, with the best player, well, I don't know. I don't want to call Ohtani the best player in baseball, but there's a lot of people that would. But, the Dodgers, I mean, there's no reason why they shouldn't win it, no matter who they face, Cubs or the Brewers. I don't know that the Cubs or the Brewers are, I think the Phillies had the best chance of beating the Dodgers. But again, that's why we love baseball, because you never know what's going to happen. That guy who's been sitting down the end of the bench all season, pinch hitting and going in as a late inning replacement, all of a sudden hits hits a Buddy Biancalana, 450 in the playoffs, or the Al Weiss, or the Brian Doyle, all those players that seem to every season, that one player that comes up, you don't know who he is. He carries his team. He usually gets a big free agent contract after it, and then 2 years later, he's out of baseball. He's got a hitting academy somewhere.
The guy that's playing for the Dodgers that way is Tommy Edman. He's a situational guy who won't show up except in postseason, and he's doing it again this year. In terms of he's a contributor. He's on base. He gets a hit. He gets a walk. He makes a difference. He scores the run.
Every time I hear, for some reason, every time I hear his name, I think of who was the guy? Many a tear has to fall, but it's
Tommy Edwards.
Tommy Edwards, yeah. That's every time I hear Tommy Edwards, I start singing that song. But that's my collision of music and baseball. It comes together.
Well, they do collide often.
Yeah. It's a little strange, but but my mind works in ways that I will never understand. So who do you like this afternoon? I mean, you're a little bit more. Well, you're a lot more removed from it because you're not in the city. I mean, here, obviously you walk around, people are wearing Mariner stuff, and everybody's, we're going to take it to them. Blah, blah, blah. It's easy to get caught up in that. The bars will be loaded, I'm sure, this afternoon at 5 o'clock with people just going out to, to watch the game and to
part of the hoopla.
Yeah, it's going to be. But what do you think on this? I think
Well, I live in Dodger territory, so plenty of Dodger hats and jerseys walking around town, and that's understandable. The worry that the Dodger fans probably have right now is that Ohtani has gone over 17 or over 18, something like that. He's not in a slump. He's just not hitting. Not in the big ball anyway. He's got a couple singles, infield hits, Texas leaguers, getting on base, but not playing a major role. Whereas the situational guys, the rest of the lineup are coming up with the hits when they have to, the plays in the outfield when they're needed, and the bullpen, which was the most questionable element of the Dodger presentation, their team, is unreliable, but has been a stable factor regardless. And Davey's going through everybody he's got, including Kershaw, who probably didn't belong on the mound, but they said, put the veteran out there. He's got the goods. He'll get us through the game, and that wasn't the case. They touched him up big time. But last night, the Dodger bullpen made all the difference. And Sasaki did a really good 3 innings where he shut everybody down. He was unhittable.
Well, yeah, it's
so tonight, when it's a must win, that bullpen, which has been used now and is not fresh, could be a factor in the Dodgers' success or failure.
Well, the thing I like about the Mariners is Danny is going to have to pull all the strings. So, but he can't pull too many strings because here's the thing. If he can't overwork the bullpen, because if you win, you gotta have a little something for Sunday. It's a quick turnaround. It's Sunday. You're here facing the Blue Jays on Sunday. But I think he's wise. Again, I thought he had too quick of a hook uh, the other day, but I think he's going the right way with starting George Kirby and having Luis Castillo at the ready. So he's got his 1-2 starters. It's going to be a Randy Johnson scenario. Where if Kirby falters at all, you'll see Castillo in there right away.
Hey, we saw something last night. I thought of you. Extra innings in Los Angeles, and they didn't have the Smokey Burgess rule in effect. In the playoffs, They say, "Hey, we're going to play real baseball tonight. If you go to the extra innings, you got to get your own man on second base. We're not giving you one." His name won't be funky.
which is, it's funny because I like that. I just think it's so bizarre that you play it one way during the season.
Yeah.
But I guess, they did that for years with the designated hitter, right? I mean, if you're in the first they did it where they alternated, if you were in the American League park, you played with the designated hitter. If you're in the National League park, you didn't. Then they had it alternating years. Then I think they did it by even numbers of license plates of the manager, odd numbers by license plates of the manager, how many trading stamps you had in the top drawer of the manager's desk. I mean, they did it by all different ways of trying to figure out how to use the DH. So I don't know. Is it much different than that? I think it does. I think it doesn't make the game true. You're playing two different games because it really does change the game. I mean, we've seen it how many times? It's changed the game. And for what? For what? Are people that bothered?
You get them home on the school night.
Right.
Hey, it's getting late. Let's get this thing over with.
I haven't seen a stat, but I would love to know what the average time is from the time somebody gets on, they put a runner out there, and he scores to when they don't have a runner out there. I mean, it can't be that appreciable of a difference. People aren't getting out of there that much early. If you got to be home for school the next day, you've left the ballpark already in the ninth inning. You've booked. You've already got the kids, and you say, "Come on, kids. I know it's only the eighth inning, but we got to go. We got to beat the traffic. We got to do this. We got to do that." The only people that are up, that want to leave the ballpark faster are either the media or the people that work at the ballpark. They want to get out of there, So I think it's a bogus rule. I know they're not going to revisit it. I know I'm an old grouchy bastard about this stuff, but I just think the game is not true because you're playing it two different ways. I mean, to me, it's almost like if you went into overtime in football, you shorten the field by 25 yards. Let's just play with a 75-yard field. It'll get us out of here quicker. Well, at that point, who cares? I mean, does it really make that much of a difference to you? I don't know.
Also, overtime play in football, I've noticed that the kicker has to get it in the landing zone. It has to be between the 20 and the field and the goal line. And if they miss it, the guys with the ball start at the 40. Now that's a deal. That's like having a man at second base.
If you can figure out how the overtime rule works in football, call me. It seems like it's different every year.
Everybody gets a chance to win, except if the first team wins, the second team doesn't get a chance to win. But everyone gets a chance. Everyone gets to play, except the guys that lose because they don't get to play because the other team won.
Yeah. Okay. That makes as much sense as anything. It's. I know it's a different world. I know we're getting old, Michael, and nobody cares what we really think anymore as far as the league offices and stuff like that. I just feel bad that we that we change these games so much. From what the purity of what they are. But I guess if you go back and you look in the past at baseball, and I'll stick with baseball, it's a different game now, it was a different game in the 50s than it was in the 30s, right? Or
Oh
was it?
yes.
Or was it? Did it did it radically change that much?
Well, a lot of things changed in terms of the way the game was played. Remember my father telling me that if you were an infielder, you didn't leave your foot on the base because if you did, the runner was going to step on it, go out of his way to step on your foot. It was the
Yeah.
way the game was played. You put your foot on first base, you're going to get cleated, undoubtedly. The way that the teams considered fraternization, saying hello to the other guy, tapping gloves, greeting one another before or during the game. At one time, that was completely, it was an unspoken rule. You didn't do it. You didn't have
Yeah,
anything nice to say to
even when I
anybody,
was a kid, you didn't do it. I mean,
right?
you just you never saw players talk to each other. I mean, you didn't even see them fraternize in the tunnel,
No.
or hear about them fraternizing in the tunnel. If you were a Dodger, you didn't talk to the Giants. I mean, and culminating, of course, in that terrible incident in '65 with Juan Marichal and John Roseboro, where Marichal hit him over the head with the bat. But that was the sense of of that you just didn't fraternize with the other team.
Remember, Roseboro started that by throwing the ball back by Marichal's ear.
Right, right. Still a terrible incident, but that wouldn't happen today. Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't think it would happen today. First of all, if you want to hit somebody, in those days, the catchers weren't wearing helmets; they wore their soft hat.
Yeah, Roseboro was
I
not
mean,
wearing a
Marichal,
helmet.
Roseboro, I think, had a soft hat on. If I remember watching
Just
the
his cap and
films
his
of it.
mask.
Yeah, yeah. He didn't have a chip protector and a big mask and the this and the that. He had a wire mask and
Wool
a
hat.
soft cap. Now, if you hit somebody in the head with a bat, they'd never feel it.
They'd hear it. That's all.
Yeah, they'd hear it. Their ears would be ringing, but I don't know how much they would. Boy, I just can't believe that we're going to have to live with the Dodgers at least another series. you
Yeah,
know, I
they're
I could have
pesky.
put up. Yeah, I could have put up with the Phillies because the Phillies at the heart of it are. I mean, you may not like the Philly fans, but the Phillies team is, and I said this, I don't know, a couple of years ago when they won the World Series. It was the kind of team that you wanted your team to be. A bunch of
Happy.
guys that, a bunch of dingus McGee's, just like kind of carefree with the long hair and the beards and everything. You just had that, you wanted your guys to be them.
They don't look
You know,
like a
you
city team. They look like a country team
Yeah,
for
yeah,
some
they look
reason.
like a country hardball team. You're exactly right. You're exactly right. They look like a country hardball team. A traveling team that went from town to town. Playing pickup games for money.
Mhm.
$10 a man, $20 a man to get off the bus and play a 7 inning game, and then get back on the bus and head on down US 20 to the next town.
See you in Schenectady.
Exactly. Could you imagine that today? That scenario where you'd have guys driving around in a bus and just hitting different towns. I mean,
The
I
king
guess
in his short.
the banana slugs or whatever the hell they call them, the
Savannah Banana.
Savannah bananas. I guess that's kind of the the idea.
Yeah.
But
'Cause it's a show team.
they're more like a dance team. You know, they're more like Bingo Long and the Traveling All-Stars than they are a baseball team. These guys were like hardcore players that, that went town to town and would play the industrial league teams. I mean, it was a time in America where, every plant, every factory had a team. And they played in, there was a factory league, or there was, just like we used to have the Rat League in the Bay Area, the Radio and Television League. Well, every factory, every coal mine, every every place that had some guys that might have made it to pro ball if they didn't have that hitch in there, that giddy up in their hitch, played on these teams. Who was it that Shoeless Joe Jackson used to play on one of those teams? I think, and go around making himself some money.
House of David.
Yeah. You had all of these different, derivative of that was King in His Court, but they were scheduled. These were guys that they just go to town and set it up a day or two beforehand. Hey, we're coming through on Route 20 and we'd love to play your factory's team, man. We can beat you. We'll stake you $100 a man or something like that. And that must have been something to see, almost like a pickup game. Get your factory team out there and we'll kick your ass. And a
little bit of the school ground, a little bit of the Harlem Globetrotters.
Yeah. And I guess they had semi-pro teams, and there was a couple of different teams that leagues, I should say. Not and by league, it's not a tightly constructed league like we think of, but it's an organization of teams that were still running on the kind of the same way that the early National League and the early American League and the early Federal League and the early International League ran, where it was organized, but only to a certain degree. Oh, man. So
I got a question for you.
Yes.
Yo, Vinnie, what are you driving this week? It's Friday.
Oh, you're asking me that question already. Jeez.
It's a fractious Friday.
It is a fractious Friday. Let me quickly I've been sitting here talking, I got so into talking about baseball that I forgot to load my little my little tape in there a second. I want my video. I wanted to mention quickly that there's a story that we haven't talked about, Michael, that is it just harkens back to a different time and a different space and place in sports. And I don't know if you've seen this or not, but there's a great story in Pittsburgh about three guys who have played as teammates for this when they went out on the ice this opening day of the Penguin season for the 20th year in a row. We don't see it now anymore, but this is something where you had, way before the days of free agency and all of the different stuff that goes on in sports. Now, you had teams that were together for a long time. You had, the guys that were on the Giants, in the 60s, they were together, 10 years, a core of the team.
Their whole career, yeah.
Yeah, you knew the players. The players lived in the cities. They lived there a long time. There was an attachment to the fans and to in Pittsburgh, Chris Letang, Evgeny Malkin, and Sidney Crosby have been playing for the Penguins for 20 years. It's believed to be the longest any three teammates have played on any professional sports team in American sports history.
Pretty
And
hard
I
to put
just
20 years together.
yeah, 20 years together. I mean, that's longer than Tinkers to Evers to Chance, or so many. And for my money, to consider that they're hockey players, considering the injuries and so on and so forth that hockey players sustain, I think it's just a really incredible achievement. I was lucky enough to cover them in the early parts of their careers, and just three solid players, solid human beings. And it's interesting that it's Pittsburgh, because the passion for the of the sports fan for their teams in Pittsburgh. Again, you have a team that couldn't win to save their life in the Pirates, that still draws 1 million and change every year. You have a football team there's a love affair with the team. That goes as deep as any sports love affair you could find. And their hockey team, has gone from the depths of they're going to move them out of town to a new arena, and Stanley Cup champions a couple of times, and just an unbelievable, again, love affair with a team. And for a team to have that, to be able to give fans that continuity in a sport. I mean, think, if you got a 20-year-old Sidney Crosby jersey, it's still good. You haven't had to give it up to Goodwill. You don't haven't had to go to the store and buy 2 other jerseys in that 20 years.
It's accurate and all. It's accurate to date.
It's accurate. If you have a Malkin jersey, if you have a Letang jersey, they're all good. They all still work. You and your 2 friends, you could go as Crosby, and you could, if you dressed up your 3 kids in Halloween 2010 as Letang, Crosby, and Malkin, they've been out of trick or treat for 7 or 8 years.
They know who you are when you come to the porch. I know you 3 guys.
Yeah, I think it's. I just find it to be. I just think it's such a great story. It's such an endearing story. It's one of those stories that you look at and you go, "This is really this is special."
And it's hard to imagine another sport where 3 guys on the team put in 20 years and still somehow can play the game in a competitive way and contribute to the victory and remain on the team, not out of some sort of nostalgic reason, but they've actually played to win and played to stay on the team.
Yeah, Crosby.
They haven't been outsourced.
There's well, the ownership group of Penguins is such a good ownership group. They realize, Mario Lemieux and his group realize what the city is all about. They get it. They get what the city wants and loves and needs. And I think in Pittsburgh, part of it is that continuity, is that thing that says, we're gonna be here. It's like it's a different relationship even than with the Steelers. And I mean, you have a few guys on the Steelers that have been around a while. Nobody stays with the Pirates. I mean, ask Tyler Glasnow. Former Pirate. Charlie Morton, former Pirate. You go through the whole. Nobody's. When people can get out of Pittsburgh, they get out of out of being a Pirate. They get out of being a Pirate as quickly as possible. which is just a shame for for the a shame for the team. Well, I don't know why I'm trying to send my tape in. Let me see if I can do it one more. Let me try it one more way, and if not, I'll just talk about it. It's sometimes you just
Then he's looking for a video that shows the cars driving this week for drive time, which is tomorrow at 11 o'clock and every Saturday at 11 o'clock thereafter.
yeah, and hopefully we'll get this up here. But if not, and I don't think it's gonna come up. So let me try it one more time, one more way. Well, let's try it like this. I'm driving this week the Mazda CX-5, which is like a compact SUV, and it's kind of like the RAV4, Toyota RAV4, that size SUV, and it's a stunning vehicle. It's it's a vehicle that is it drives differently than most. Not to knock anybody's vehicle, but you get into these mid-size SUVs, these compact SUVs, and they're not exactly the most exciting thing in the world to drive. And for the most part, they're built that way. They don't want you trying to be speed racer when you're taking your kids to school or to the ice cream shop. They're not built for that kind of
Not a
engagement
performance
when you're
vehicle.
driving. They're built to get you. Say again?
Not a performance vehicle.
Right. It's not a performance. It's just built to get you from here to there. The CX-5 is built to make you enjoy the ride from here to there, to make you kind of engage you a little bit more. It has that sports car DNA. It has a great interior. The materials they use in the interior is way above grade of what you find in most other vehicles. It's got nice power. It has the Sky Active stuff, the Sky Active engine stuff, and Mazda has a safety suite, of safety equipment that can be found in vehicles worth much more money. So I'm really enjoying this. It's roomy inside. It's not, you can park it almost anywhere, and it's really a lot of fun to drive. So I'm looking forward to talking a little bit more about that tomorrow. And I do want to put this in. We're going to be doing the full review on this thing tomorrow. And I just want to say that this has been one of the enjoyable rides this year that that I've had. This Toyota, this Gazoo Racing GR4 little Toyota Corolla with 300 horsepower, twin turbo. It's just a killer car, man.
A powerful
I don't
little car.
remember. Yeah, well, and not just in power, but in also roadability. I took this thing up on the Cascade Highway, Route 20, up over the mountains, and it was a blast. It was so much fun to drive, and it's a limited edition car. It's a $50,000 Corolla, but if you can get your hands on one, if you want to have a small car that'll give you hours and hours and hours of intense driving. I said it's a twin turbo, and now I'm not sure if it's the twin turbo. I think I might have been thinking of the Lexus I drove the week before, but it is a turbo. And the suspension settings, if you are into rally driving or you're a fan of rally racing, this is the car you want to have. This is the car that you're really gonna going to love it. It makes you feel like, as a matter of fact, when you go up through these, roads that aren't that are more or less traveled, this is the car you want to go with because it's just such a lot of fun, and it's a sharp looking car. So
Just the kind of
again,
vehicle you need if you're in Bigfoot country.
yeah, well, it's interesting because I think for the Northwest, um, this is a car that if I lived in Palm Springs or if I lived up in the Sierra, I'd love to have because you can go through those mountain roads or out, straight out on the desert roads, and you can really have some fun with it. Give me this car in Death Valley in the winter, and when the roads aren't too jammed up, and you can really kind of have some fun with it, open it up a little bit. You'd be driving something that would be a memorable lifetime experience. And so we'll be reviewing this tomorrow. Also, I will give you the information of what car would give you if what would you say would be the longest lasting car in America? What car are you most likely to get 300,000 miles out of? There's a new survey out, and I'll have that. As a matter of fact, the manufacturer of this car has like 10 out of the top 25 cars that you're most likely to get 300,000 miles out of.
This is a foreign made car, or
Yeah, yeah. Although there is an American car on the list, I think. If I remember right, there was one American car in there. So we'll have that. We'll also talk about Chevrolet is back with the Bolt, which is their little electric EUV, electric utility vehicle. And so there's a brand new Bolt, a car that they should have never stopped making. And if you're interested in an electric car, if you're thinking that's some way I want to go, this one is going to come in at a base price of around $29,000. So it'll be an affordable electric car, which is what I've said all along is that you need. So,
what's the price go up during the tariff?
No, it's because it's American made. So no tariff, no nothing. I don't think so, but they're absorbing the tariff prices. If there is, they're absorbing the prices on this thing because they want to get them out. They want to sell them. They want to get them. They got to make this car a success. Because they've so screwed up the electric car stuff now. They've put such a stink on electric cars that and for no reason. They're cheaper to run than gas-powered vehicles. They're less repair. There's just nothing wrong with an electric car except accessibility to to charging stations, which is by the month. Even Trump backed up on, when he said he was going to take the money back for charging stations. He wasn't going to pay to install them. Well, that's all changed. He's releasing the money. Yeah, he was just kidding. He was making a joke.
His jokes are
well, the troops need charging stations.
Yes.
When they come to your town, they have to charge their suits up.
And if they can go to the gardening store, you can arrest the day workers in the parking lot while you charge your car.
Yeah, I mean, you want to, buy and order all those electric Chevy Tahoes or whatever INS is using, or ICE, I should say.
Econoline vans.
Yeah, I don't even think they make the Econoline van anymore.
Get an old one. Get an old white one.
Yeah, Well, yeah, I mean, why use the new ones? But it's yeah. One thing, yeah, yeah, we're gonna have troops down in Portland. That's gonna be a mess. Um, I don't know. I was gonna go down there in the next couple of weeks. I think I'll stay away. That's what's gonna happen. Is just there's just gonna be no people aren't going to go to Portland. People this time of year go to Portland because it's the leaves are turning. It's the going toward the end of summer, fall. People go riding the back roads of Oregon to see the trees and the colors and everything like that.
Get
People
a
aren't
little
going to
Tillamook
Oregon.
cheese.
Yeah, yeah. Stop in Tillamook. Get your free sample of ice cream that they give out, or the free sample of cheese that they give out. Where the last time I was there, the lady told me, "Please don't come back again." I was stocking up. They hand out those little packets of cheese. I say, "Well, as long as they're going to be handing them out, I got a little camp stove in the car, and why not make a grilled cheese sandwich for free?" But they got upset about that for some reason. Well, it's good ice cream. A great ice cream, Tillamook ice cream. One thing I want to do this next week is if it winds up being the Mariners and the Blue Jays,
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to go to Vancouver and watch a game. I want to see what the experience is of watching a baseball game in Canada, watching a series. What the take is going to be. This is turning into a real sense of national pride for Canada. You can't believe how huge it is that the Toronto Blue Jays beat the Yankees, because the Yankees, after all, are the symbol of America.
That's right.
I mean, if you're going to say, I mean, even just the name itself, uh, but the Canadians are really jumping up and down about, it's the first victory that they've had over anything American in a while, and there's been a big movement on in Canada to replace American products with Canadian made products. And how embarrassing would it be embarrassing for the Blue Jays to win the World Series and have the Commissioner's Trophy living up in Canada? I mean, I guess
It's
they
not
feel the same way about hockey when a Florida team wins it, but
it's not beyond the realm of a possibility, that's for certain. They're a tough team, and I don't see. I would like to see them beat the Dodgers.
yeah, it's I'll be either way. It'll be interesting if it does wind up being, and it's not going to be the Tigers. I'm telling you right now, it's not going to be the Tigers. But if by chance it does, it'll really be interesting because Detroit is
So
so
close.
intertwined with Canada, with
Yep.
Windsor. It's a city where people go back and forth. It's As a matter of fact, what is it? There's more of Canada south of Detroit than there is, because it's geographically up on the peninsula. So you have
Mhm.
a large portion of Windsor and Ontario below Detroit. It's really kind of freaky. So if the Tigers win, and they're not going to win, Michael, I'm telling you, I
Yeah.
got the hat and everything. They're not going to win. But if by chance they do win, that'll really set up. And then they play the Dodgers. I'm still hoping against hope for Mariners Brewers, but I think that might be a long shot at best.
Yeah, like two long shots welded together.
Yeah, Mariners
Well,
Cubs will be
5 o'clock, we'll know what we know. Well, 5 o'clock, we'll see the proof in the pudding.
How do you see the proof in the pudding? Do you take
a
the
look at the pudding.
and
You look at the pudding. You take your spoon and you break the surface and you stir it up a little bit. All the ingredients, all the elements of the pudding show themselves to you, and that's the proof. It's
is
in the
there a
pudding.
flavor that has more proof than another?
No, the proof doesn't change the flavor, but the flavor is part of the
Oh.
proof.
I just, inquiring minds want to know.
I'm glad you asked.
Well, listen, I live to serve, Michael. I live to serve. All right, what do you got
Well, have a
going on
good-
this weekend? Anything?
Got bow baseball. We're preparing for Kristen's knee replacement. We've done all our tests and all the x-rays and all the blood and all that stuff. We've been very busy knocking around town, meeting
Now,
all the doctors.
That's happening next week or
17th.
17th? Well,
It's a big deal.
I'm gonna personally make sure that you wait on that woman hand and foot while she's laid
It
up.
shall be done. It shall be done.
Take care of my friend Kristen.
Vinnie says, "Take care of Kristen." I will do that.
Thank you.
Yes,
She thinks she's not looking forward to this.
Yeah, they want to do my knees too, and I'm like, what I've done is I'm just trying to knock off the weight and see if that makes enough of an improvement, because I'm deathly afraid of getting a knee replacement. I'm just it's just I went through that rehab
do
of
them
learning how to
both?
walk again.
Yeah.
Excuse me?
They want to do them both.
Well, they want to do the left one, definitely. And I don't know. I think it's like radial tires. Don't if you do one, you have to do the other.
Usually the conditions that make you do one will occur in the other knee, and you'll have to do the other one sooner or later.
Like me.
Yeah, see, I don't know. But I don't want a scooter either. You get that whole scooter
No.
deal going. And
Yeah.
I don't want to do that, man. I don't want to go riding around in a car with my scooter hanging out the back and all of that kind of stuff. Well, listen, tell Bo to get a couple of hits for us all.
Damn right. Hit the damn ball.
Just hit the ball. Is he watching the series at all? Or these playoff games?
I don't think so.
They're
Red Sox fans.
Michael.
Vinnie,
Michael.
have a good weekend, buddy. I'm glad you're feeling better.
You
Have
too,
a good show
pal.
tomorrow at 11 o'clock.
Thank you. Have a good weekend, and I'll see you here Monday at 10:10 if the Lord's willing and the creek don't rise.
The creek's not rising, but I don't know if the Lord's willing. We'll find out today at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, we'll see at 5 o'clock. Hopefully by the time we meet on Monday, we'll have 2 Mariner wins to talk about, and a whole lot of great baseball to recap on Monday.
played.
All right, Michael. Peace, love, and Manischewitz, pal.
Drink your Manischewitz in the big dumper. See you guys. What a want.
All right, Mike. Take care. Thank you all for listening to, man. We'll catch up with you on Monday. Go Mariners, man. Get those Mariners going. Let's go, big dumper. See ya.
See you.